What's going on, guys? So I recently played a game where something happened that I don't think has ever happened in my 25-year chess career. I missed checkmate 5 different times in the same game. So this is the game. I want to show you this. I'm going to slide it over. Look at this here at the bottom. Missed win. 5 missed wins. Like, I don't think that I've even ever been in a game where I had 5 chances to win. Like, that's a lot of chances. And they were all checkmates. And I missed them all. Now, before everyone starts laughing at me,
What an amateur and a noob master.
I have a couple of good excuses. Number one, it was a 3 minute game and I was getting low on time when most of those mates were missed. And number two, it was kind of a weird position and a lot of the checkmates were actually pretty cool. It would have been nice to have more time to actually find them. But anyway, I'm going to show you the game and I'm going to give you guys a chance to see if you can spot some of these checkmates that I missed. So when I get to the moment in the game where I missed it, I'm going to just wait a few seconds and give you a chance to solve it. And if you need to pause the video and take more time, you can do that. But yeah, let's see how well you guys can do. Alright, so here's the game. I was white, and we had the Caro-Kann. I like to play the two knights defense, and he played bishop g4, and there's this really kind of a weird line. It's not actually good, but you can capture, play bishop b5 check, and I only play this in blitz because it's tricky, and sometimes you can, like, your opponent can mess up. But anyway, you basically sacrifice your queen, and the idea is that if they take it, which he did, you take with the knight, and if he captures your knight, you take back and you've got his king in check. Only move is to play queen d7 and you win back the queen. So normally people will play queen b6. And then I think the best move is actually moving the knight here. But I like to just do this one, like I said, in speed chess because it's really weird. And if they take your bishop, you can like fork them and get it back. You still come out down a piece, but you know, it's blitz. And so that's why I play it. So anyway, he did do that. Check, goes here, took the queen. And then, so at this point, you can see he's got 3 pieces. I only have 2, and I'm just basically down a piece. But it does get a little tricky, so I move my knight here. He has to bring his king up to attack the knight, otherwise I'm able to get my piece back. And so then I played here, king over, a4, took that, b4 check. And here I made a little sacrifice to try to basically trick him into taking it, and he did. And the idea is that now I can play bishop here check, forces the king to come over. If he goes here, I've got a fork there. So he has to come over. Then I can go check with the rook, which forces his king over again, and it's going to line him up with the bishop so I can pin the bishop and win my piece back. So king here, rook over, capture it with check. And right here is the first moment in the game where I could have won the game. So I want you to take a second, see if you can find it. This is actually mate in 4 for white. And this is a really interesting position because there's 3 different moves that you can play as white that all lead to mate in 4. So I'm going to give you a few seconds. See if you can find the best move for white. Checkmate in 4 moves. All right, well, if you said king e2 or king d2 or even castles kingside, you would be correct. And so the whole point is that you need to bring this rook over here to deliver the checkmate. So any of those 3 moves accomplish that. So let's say we go with king e2. The immediate threat is rook to c1, checkmate, because the rook is controlling all these squares, the bishop is controlling here, and the knight's controlling there. So the king would have nowhere to go once you put him in check with the rook here. So the best thing black can try is b6 to make a spot to run, but you still play rook c1 check, king goes back, rook to c7 check, king has to go back, and then the rook comes in for the final checkmate. Oops, sorry about that. So pretty cool checkmate, mate in 4. I should have saw that. I had plenty of time at this point. I just missed it. So let me go back and show you what I actually played. So instead of playing king e2, I played knight to d4 check, king to d5, king to e2. So I had the right idea, like getting this rook over. I just did it in the wrong order. I shouldn't have played this. Anyway, knight of 6, rook over, e6, And again, mate in 4 for white. Go ahead and see if you can solve it. I'll give you some time. I also did not see this one, but mate in 4 for white. All right, if you need some extra time, go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to show you the solution now. So the move is knight to f3 check, and it's check because the rook is now unblocked, so it's a discovered check. And we've got the rook covering here, the rook covering here, the knight covers that square. Only place the king can go to is right here. And then move number 2, we bring this rook up check. All of these squares are covered. The knight covers this square, bishop covers this square. Only place the king can move is to f5. And then we played knight to h4 check, which covers this square and this square. The rook covers all these squares. Bishop covers these squares. Only place the king can move is back here. And then do you see the final checkmate move? Mate in 1. If you said f4, you'd be correct. Checkmate with the pawn. Really nice one there. I wish I would have seen that one. So that's the second missed checkmate. Let's go back and see what I actually played. All right, so instead of knight f3 check, winning the game, I played f4 instead. And then king e4, rook c4, and now knight to d5. And now for the third time in the same game, I missed checkmate again. Now this one, I don't feel bad for missing. This one's actually a mate in 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so this is a mate in 8. And the engine actually, because it's capped at a depth of 18, doesn't even see it. So it's saying 14.8 for white, but it's not showing M8 down here because it doesn't even see it. But the move is actually G4. And see, now it changes to mate in 7. So now it sees it. So it was a checkmate in 8 that started with the move G4. So I'll just show you this one. It's a pretty long one, and I didn't see it during the game. Obviously, I only had a few seconds. Even if this was a long game, probably wouldn't have seen a mate in 8. That's a lot of moves. So G4, knight takes F4 is black's best move. Capture with the bishop. And the threat now is that we can move this knight somewhere and it's going to be checkmate with the rook. And so black has to deal with that. So he runs over here, attacking our rook. So if we move the knight now, he's going to just take the rook. So we bring the rook down to C7. E5 is his best chance. And then we play rook to D7. So the rook is attacking the king here. The knight covers these squares. Pawn covers this square. So black's only option is to really try to run over here. King to C4. And then we play knight to C2. His best chance is bishop takes B4. Then we play rook to C7 check. Bishop to C5. And then mate in 2, if you want to try to find this one, even this position for mate in 2 is kind of tricky, I think. So I'll give you a second. See if you can find this mate in 2 for white. All right, if you're still thinking, I'm going to go ahead and show the solution. So pause the video if you want to think on it some more. But bishop to D2 is the move. Controls all these squares, and it actually sets up checkmate with the knight. And there's nothing that black can do to stop it. So the rook covers these squares. The pawn covers here. The knight covers here. And then these are covered also by the rook. So his king cannot move. And his bishop can't move because it's pinned. So anything that he does, any pawn moves or rook moves, it doesn't matter. Like let's say B5, we're just going to move our knight for checkmate. So I don't feel bad that I missed that one. That one was 8 moves, really long. But nevertheless, that was the third time that I could have won the game with mate and didn't see it. Let's go back and see what I actually played. All the way back to right here. So I should have played G4. And instead I captured here with the discovered check. Which is not a bad move. I'm still way ahead. I just didn't see the mate. So king here. Traded off some pieces. And then at this moment, this was a blunder. I have another checkmate. This time it's mate in 3. Go ahead and see if you can find this one. Mate in 3 for white. I'll give you a few seconds, see if you can find it. All right, if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video now. But the move that I should have played is rook to G5 check. And if his king moves over here, we've got rook here, checkmate immediately. So the only thing that he can do is capture this. And this is like really awesome. Look at how these rooks are just controlling everything, right? His king is stuck between the two rooks. So all I have to do is defend this rook with h4, and it doesn't matter what he does, any move, and then we play g3 checkmate with the pawn. Like, is this not a cool looking checkmate? Would have been really fun to do in the game. I only had 13 seconds, so probably had something to do with why I didn't see it, but that would have been a good one. But anyway, number 4, the 4th time that I missed checkmate. Let's go back and see what I actually played. All right, so instead of playing rook g5 for the mate, I played g3. I was kind of thinking that I could still play there like next move, and then once he went over here, I'd be able to get checkmate. But I just didn't see it fast enough, and that's actually not true. So g3, f6 was a mistake. He could have played something different, but by playing f6, he gave me the 5th opportunity to find checkmate. This one is mate in 5. So if you want to take a second, see if you can find this one. It's a little bit tricky, but it's mate in 5. So go ahead and take a second if you want to see if you find that one. All right, if you need more time, pause the video, but the move is h3 check. So the rook covers all of these squares. This rook is controlling these, pawns controlling these. So you can see the only place his king can go is right there. So he has to take the pawn. And then we play the important move king to f3. And what king f3 does is keeps his king on the edge, right? So he can't come off this rank now. And then we can use our rooks to deliver the checkmate. So it's mate in 3, and the immediate threat is right here. Rook here, checkmate. So let's say black decides to play g6 to stop that. Then we can drop this rook back here, threatening it over here. No pieces can stop that, so he has to move his king. And then we can bring this rook down, and now again we have the same move coming, and there's nothing he can do about it, right? None of the pieces over there can save him. So let's say he tries to go there, we just rook over, checkmate. So that was number 5 in the same game, 5 different times. Could have had checkmate, didn't see it.
What an amateur.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened. Like I said, first time for me. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Pretty crazy game. Some really awesome checkmates that I just wasn't able to see. So if you guys were able to find any of those, let me know in the comments. I'm curious how many of you would have probably won this game that I lost. But yeah, let me know if you found those. As always, thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.